said it's great to be a Tennessee Vol. I said it's great. Welcome to the Vol Bros podcast, the most unbiased college football podcast in America today. I'm Evan. This is my brother Rustin. We are two Vol Bros who are actually bros. And we have a really special sponsor for this evening. I'm super excited about this. The Javonte Spraggins Zoo is sponsoring our show tonight. Really recommend that place. They got a lot of variety of animals. They got two different types of tigers now. They have some elephants. That's right. They got some elephants. They got some gators and some wildcats, which that's not as impressive now. But they have so many different animals at the Javonte Spraggins Zoo. And we're
going to have a chicken next week.
That's right. That's exactly right. So we so appreciate them sponsoring us. If you see Javonte, he might deny that he sponsored this. It's just kind of a low-key NIL deal. So, just ignore him if he acts like he doesn't know what we're talking about. It's all good. But thank you to the zoo for sponsoring us. Hey, we want to hear your thoughts about this evening, or this afternoon, I should say. The primary question that we have for all of you tonight is, if you were in Josh Heupel's shoes, would you have tried to score the last two touchdowns the way that they did by throwing the ball deep, which Joe Milton, when he threw that one
68 yards in the air without a step.
Unreal, man. It's unreal. Now, here's the thing. We're not asking, do you think he did that? We're not asking for what you think his motivation was. If you think it was just trying to impress the committee or whatever, that's not what we're asking. What we're asking is, if you had that headset on and you were the coach of the Tennessee Football Volunteers, would you have done what they did tonight? And I'll give my answer to that here in a little bit. That's our question of the night. So please comment. We're live on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. If you're on Facebook, it might ask you to approve it to display it. Of course, we're using a program called StreamYard. So it might ask you to use it, your profile picture and your name. Just know you don't have to do that. You can decline those permissions and just interact with us anonymously. That'd be totally cool too. But if you're on Twitter, that's awesome. I've got Twitter on my phone right now pulled up so we can see if you have a comment or anything, it'll let us know. So having said that, let's get into our reaction from tonight. If you are unaware, the Vols happened to win today 66-24. Now, Thursday, Rustin put his prediction out there for a score. I'm going to see if I remember. Was it 49-17? Is that what you predicted?
48-17, yeah.
I was pretty close. I predicted 55-20. Neither one of us were close enough. They put up 66 points. And I'll explain why I think that happened in a moment. Whenever y'all comment, if you'd like to, we'll put your comments on the screen as well. Rustin, what were your initial takeaways from today's afternoon game?
Well, I mean, obviously, Josh Heupel's an amazing play caller. To set the school record for yards in a game, 724 yards. They scored 9 touchdowns. I mean, that's just mind-blowing. In an SEC game against the number 13 defensive team in the country, they scored 9 touchdowns. Coming into this game, Missouri was allowing 301 yards a game on average. Tennessee had 364 in the first half and did not play well. And didn't play well. I mean, let's be honest. The first half, they did not look good and had 364 yards of total offense. It wasn't until the second half when we pulled the trick play with Jalen Hyatt and got a little momentum and then rolled off 38 unanswered in 23 minutes that all of a sudden it was like, okay, we figured it out. But the first half actually wasn't that good and still had 364 yards of total offense. I thought,
before you go any further, I want to say something about that. How wonderful is it that we feel like, I mean, I'm sitting here thinking about like 2018 and 2019 when we felt like we won the lottery if we scored a touchdown. I mean, like we were
In
Big fan of-
2018, Missouri ran the score up on us.
Yep. I mean, like when just 2-3 years ago, we were like, oh man, we scored a touchdown. That's awesome. Now it almost feels like a letdown if we don't score a touchdown. If we have to settle for a field goal, we're like, yeah. I mean, like that's how good this offense is that we expect a touchdown every single possession.
Every time we touch it.
What a wonderful world to be a Vol in right now. Like what a time to be alive, man. Okay, go ahead.
I think the two biggest call outs, and I think they're huge call outs, and one of them totally got missed during the game. The first one that everybody talked about, Jalen Hyatt becomes the 9th receiver in the University of Tennessee history. We're talking about wide receiver U. Jalen Hyatt becomes the 9th guy ever to have 1,000 yards receiving. And the last guy to ever do that was, last year, Cedric Tillman. So you have to go, is Brew going to do it next year? In the previous 100 years, there were 7 guys that had 1,000 yards receiving. In the last 2 years, we've had 2. Just incredible. And if Cedric hadn't gotten hurt this year, I almost wonder if he would have gotten it this year too. But the other one that
and there's still 2 games left.
Right. Yeah. The other thing that everybody missed, that's honestly one of the coolest stats possibly in the history of the university. Jerome Carvin today set the record for most games ever played at the University of Tennessee. 57 games. You think about, and obviously that's assisted by the COVID year, but
right.
You think about the amount of players who have played at the University of Tennessee over the years. Very few of them can say that they pretty much played every single game of their entire college career. To avoid injury the way Jerome has in a position where guys get injured a lot, they get rolled up on. To be just a force on the inside on a weekly basis, 57 games is just incredible.
I was afraid for Javonte Spraggins, our zookeeper. I was afraid for him in the first half. He got rolled up on pretty bad there.
Yeah.
And I was so glad he got up when he got up.
It was ugly.
Well, my takeaway, or did you have any more takeaways from today?
Just one, because I'm really excited to play. I'm really excited to play the Chickens next week. We had 264 yards rushing against the number 13 defense in America, averaged 7 yards a carry. Florida had 374 yards tonight rushing against the Chickens. Beamer ball. Next week's going to be a lot of fun.
Yep. And man, yeah, I mean, like we said last week, if you watched us last week, we said, so here's our question, just as a reminder. We want to hear y'all's thoughts. If you were in Josh Heupel's shoes, would you have tried to score the last 2 touchdowns the way he did? Here's my answer to that. Well, let's get your answer first. Rustin, would you have done what he did?
I'm an offensive guy. I called plays for 11 years. I'm of the Steve Spurrier school of thought of it's my job to score and it's your job to stop me. So, I give Heupel credit. The last play he could have thrown it. Brew was wide open, but he chose to run it. But I mean, they ran straight through the line untouched almost. And what are you supposed to do? I think some of it was for the committee. I think some of it was Eli Drinkwitz needs to stop running his mouth. If he would shut up and realize he's at Missouri, people wouldn't run up the score on him anymore.
So last week on this show, we said it is not Josh Heupel's fault. It is not the University of Tennessee's fault. But due to the way the system works right now for the selection committee, we said they will have to win the next 3 games by like 30-something points each. Now they went above and beyond that today, but we said they would have to do that simply because they need recency bias in their favor. And nobody can say that recency bias is not a factor in the playoff committee's decisions and in people's minds. Because my goodness, you think about this past Tuesday night, and national media members are trying to equate Tennessee's 14-point loss to Georgia to Oregon's 46-point loss to Georgia. And if you recall, after that first week of the season, all the national media was like, wow, Georgia, or I mean, like Oregon was just bad. I mean, like they were rough. I mean, it was the same talk about Oregon that week, but because Oregon has been playing well of late, which side note, go Huskies, UW, we're rooting for you tonight. I think they were winning at halftime. I hope they still are. And Texas,
Oregon just took the lead.
Oh man, okay, come on Huskies. For Texas, hook them, baby. Go get TCU tonight. We need you. And I don't think anybody scored in the first quarter in that game.
TCU got a field goal right before the half. It's 3-0 at halftime.
As a barn burner. So hopefully, Texas will get it in gear. We need y'all. So we said on this show they have to win convincingly the next 3 games. That's what they did tonight. Tonight you saw people on Twitter saying, whoa, Tennessee hung 66 points on them. Like it got their attention. There were some national media members saying like they shouldn't have done that kind of thing. Once again, and this is my answer to our question this evening. If I were in Josh Heupel's shoes, would I have tried to score those things? He did not have an option, in my opinion. He had to do that. And that was with his backup players in the game. So it's I get, on the broadcast, even they're saying like there's a certain thing as class. And I get that. I totally understand that. But by the same token, the only thing, like you say, well, they're trying to play their way into the playoff. I mean, yeah, kind of, but it's not like they can win their way into the playoff by beating teams ahead of them now. No. The only option they have is to convincingly beat the opponents they're playing and make it. And it's a sad situation, but they have to run the score up. They do not have a choice. Side note, both of Milton's throws were just beautiful, beautiful touch on those throws, which is a wonderful thing to see.
Can I make a small addition to that comment?
Absolutely.
Joe Milton in 5 minutes today had better numbers than Will Levis did in 4 quarters. But I'm sure the NFL draft didn't see any of that.
No, he's the number 1 prospect, man. Mm-hmm. So that was my answer to that question. Other takeaways, I love the resiliency of the Vols. In years past when they cut the lead to a 4-point game in the second quarter there. In years past, you would have seen Tennessee teams kind of like, fold a little bit, maybe. Not this year. And I completely attribute that in a large part to Hendon Hooker's leadership, honestly, how he conducts himself and how he leads that team.
Yeah.
I think that just like last week, false starts killed us against Georgia. I think that really hurt Missouri tonight. Really hurt him bad. And I don't understand Eli Drinkwitz's reaction to a couple of them, because it's clear like a couple of the receivers just like took off half a second before the snap. I mean, you can't do that. I loved, like you mentioned, I love that play to Jalen Hyatt that they drew up where he was lined up behind the line of scrimmage and then released on that wheel route. My goodness, he was wide open.
I love the whole sequence because it was all scripted together. They brought Dylan Sampson in to be fresh legs. On play 1, they throw the screen to him, and it was all about getting the ball in his hands. It was clearly a running back screen to him. Then they immediately jump up and make it look like they're running jet sweep to him. And Jalen Hyatt squatted down like an H-back behind the tackle, hiding, and just releases out. It's actually an old Gus Malzahn play. Gus is the one who created that. And everything looked like we're bringing in the fresh leg running back who's a speedster, and we're going to game the ball as much as possible. And then, boop, here's Jalen Hyatt running out the side of the boundary, completely uncovered. And You can see, if you watch it back, you can see the Missouri safeties looking around. They're trying to figure out where he is. They completely lost him. It's incredible.
I mean, he was wide open. That's one of those where it's like, just don't drop it. Like when you throw it.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, he was wide. And then having a lead blocker out there with Brew. I mean, that's just, it's beautiful, beautiful play.
It was almost funny watching Brew. Like, he wasn't sure what to do. Like, he was kind of hesitant. Like, do I block this guy now, or do I just run alongside him? Because there was a moment when Hyatt caught the ball, and the guy covering Brew didn't know Jalen Hyatt caught the ball right behind him. And he was like still covering Brew, and Brew's looking around like, should I block him now? Unreal.
I was happy for Princeton Fant. Get 2 touchdowns on his senior day. That's awesome, man. That's storybook kind of stuff. Tyler Barron had a tremendous second half. He was living in the backfield in the second half. And then to top it off, Hendon leading the band, man. That was awesome. What a great way to end the day. And if you haven't seen it, go find Austin Price's. Hey, that's, you know what? I'm calling my shot right now. One day, well, probably not, but one day we'll have Austin Price on this show. It's going to happen. Well, like it's going to grow to that point where Austin's like, I got to get on that show. We'll see, maybe, probably not, but we'll try.
Just keep messaging every day until he says yes.
That's right. That's right. So that was awesome. If you haven't seen Austin's tweet, he's got a great video of Hendon leading the band. And Hendon was on it, man. He was like being serious. Like everything he does is serious. I love it. But he was being serious. So he was watching the drum major, making sure that he was right on with it. It was great. So I think we're both in agreement on this. Who was today's player of the game? I think it's probably the dude that the fans were chanting Heisman about after the game.
Yeah.
Anytime you go out and you throw for 355 yards and 3 touchdowns, run for 50 and another touchdown, and really not even play hardly at all in the fourth quarter. Yeah, that's pretty good. That's a pretty good day.
Yeah. They don't let you lead the band unless you had a decent day.
That's a great point. That's a great point. We wanted to show you 2 really interesting tweets that we saw tonight. This one's from Bill Martin. If you don't follow Bill Martin on Twitter, do yourself a favor and go ahead and follow that gentleman. He is the assistant athletic director in football communications gentleman at University of Tennessee. He is an excellent follow. After every game, he starts tweeting out very unique stats that you might not find otherwise. And it's really fascinating to watch the stuff that he puts out. And so tonight he tweeted after this game, great photo, by the way, of Hendon leading the band there. But Hendon Hooker's last 4 SEC games were against the FBS numbers 12, 11, 5, and 13 total defenses respectively. He went 3. Now, actually, let's think about that for just a moment. That would have been 13 was today. 5 would have been Georgia. 11 was Kentucky. And 12 was Bama. So 4 top 15 defenses in the country in 4 straight games. And in those games, he went 3-1, combining for 1,326 yards of total offense and 13 touchdowns, including 405 and 4 today. That's incredible. I mean, that is incredible. And then the other one that, and I so want to get Grant on this show too, maybe someday. Grant, if you don't follow Grant on Twitter, you're missing out, because he is hilarious. His sense of humor is fantastic. And so I love what Grant tweeted here. Danny White brought him back, and Tennessee didn't lose a home game. Those letters, baby, you see them on our background too. And that's right. They didn't lose a home game the entire year. And it's going to be at least till next season when that happens too. So hopefully they won't lose one next year. But if you don't follow Grant on Twitter, take time to follow him. I love that. I love that photo too. That was good. That was really good. We haven't had any comments. So if you're watching this at a later time, please know that, man, we monitor these forever. So if you comment on YouTube later on, we'll see it. Let me check Twitter, make sure we had any comments on Twitter.
While you're doing that, I think we should have a moment of silence for Mark Stoops, Eli Drinkwitz, and Shane Beamer.
Yeah.
How awesome is it that right now the 4 best teams in the SEC are Georgia, Tennessee, LSU, and Alabama? The Blue Bloods are all back. It's normalcy has returned. Maybe it was COVID. COVID had to bring normalcy back to the SEC. But Kentucky and Vanderbilt and South Carolina are back down at the bottom where they belong and where they're going to stay. Missouri now is going to live down there with them. And everything is right in the world.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, we appreciate everybody joining us this evening. You can find us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and all of those places. It's at the Vol Bros. So we so appreciate everybody joining us tonight. We hope that you'll join us next time. We won't be live next Saturday night because I'll actually be at a conference in Orlando, so I won't be able to join live.
They have internet in Orlando.
That's true. That's true. I'll be doing video.
I need to talk
stuff
about the chickens next Saturday night because we're going to walk in. They're going to play Sandstorm. It's going to be cute. They're all going to jump around. Then we're going to score 42 points in the first half and turn that place into a Tyson chicken house. There's going to be slaughtered chickens hanging from all over the place. And in the second half, because the committee said we don't know what happens, we got to make sure everybody plays hard. We're going to score 100.
Yeah, once again, they don't have a choice. They have to run the score up. It's a sad deal. I get it, but they have to, because that's the way the system is right now. They have to win and win convincingly, so that every Tuesday night the committee's talking about, man, did you hear Tennessee put 50 something points up? This Tuesday night they'll be like, they put up 66 points today.
And they just announced it's going to be the 7:00 game on ESPN. So They just pretty much sentenced South Carolina to a slow death because now we're on national television. It's not SEC Network. It's the main game that everybody's going to be watching. And that's prime opportunity to run the score up in front of a much larger audience.
And like we said, they got to do it. They have to. They don't have a choice. I totally understand. I really do. I totally understand everybody saying it shows like a class or something. I get that. But they don't have a choice right now. Their only choice is to impress the committee as much as they possibly can. And that's what they have to do, because they got to get in the playoff. And that's the only way that's the only thing they can control right now. They don't control their own destiny. Go Huskies, go Longhorns.
They literally overlooked an absolute beatdown of Oregon by Georgia and tried to say that Oregon is somehow this great team now, and we're just not going to pay attention to that first game. Look at Oregon's schedule.
Yeah.
Outside of UCLA, who's a little above average, they're not great. There is nothing on Oregon's schedule. They have played no one.
Yep. And who is it that's the only team to beat 2 top 10 college football playoff rankings teams right now? Who was that? Oh, it was Tennessee. That's right. So that, surely that's in their mind as well. But anyway, hey, we appreciate everybody joining us. We are at the Vol Bros on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. So please, if you haven't already, subscribe to our channel. I was really proud of us this past week. We've put up something on YouTube, a short or a podcast, something 6 straight days. That's a lot of content for you to partake of and everything. And 7 of the last 8 days. So I was really proud of us. I was pumped. I texted Rustin this week. I was like, this is incredible. I love it. It's awesome. So,
and we have merch coming.
Yeah, that's right. We do. We sure do. Our first thing we're going to release, I think everybody will really like it. It's going to be pretty good. So it's coming, y'all. We are cooking on this show, man. We appreciate everybody for joining us. And we sure hope that we'll keep you posted. Check us on Twitter and everything. We'll keep you posted
Hey,
when we're going live next.
Basketball's tomorrow, 2:00, Colorado.
There you go.
Who just lost to Grambling.
Yeah, that was rough. I saw that's not the way you want to start the year if you're Colorado. And
That's how we love to start the year if we're Tennessee.
Yeah, now we're walking into, you got the top team, one of the top teams in the country coming to your house. That's not good. So good luck to Colorado tomorrow. Maybe Grambling was a trap game. They were overlooking that for Tennessee. That's what they were doing.
They gave up 84 points to Grambling.
Yeah, that's not good. That's not good. Well, all righty. Well, we appreciate everybody for watching this evening. We look forward to seeing you soon. Go Vols, baby.